We're going to go back to talking about Lucifer and the 1/3 in just a moment, but I would like to take a break and just have you practice an exercise, and it might help you throughout the rest of the videos. Jesus said, when our eye is single, without sin, look at the word single. This might be a clue. Sometimes this is a stretch, but single, look at the word. Remember, S-I-N, sin, is also without, just like in Spanish, sin. Single. Maybe like guile, I don't know. But when our eye is single, our whole body, with the W now, don't take the W off. We're not talking about holes now for just a minute. We're talking about the whole thing. Because you want to be whole and well. If you have holes in your body at that moment, you do not feel well, even though you are whole. So we're going to go back to whole and well. When your eye is single, your whole body is filled with light. And you see the light, and you see the one life that is all things. The light that, the one life, the Word that is all things. For the Word was with God and is God. And through the Word, He is the life and the light of all things. Not the loose light in Lucifer. That's L-U-C, L-U-Z. I-L, illusion. Not that one. Now that is with our two eyes. Our die means two, like dissect. If you look it up, the prefix for di is two. Just like bi is two. Die, vision. I see the word Zion in vision too, S-I-O-N, two. When we see things as separate, that's what Lucifer wants. That's his light that tells you all is separate from God. God is not the S-O-L, the soul. S-O-L means the sun, like the solar, the soul air, H-E-I-R, the soul air. Every son of God. And Mormons call us all children of God, whether we choose right or wrong, we still are. And in the pre-existence you said we are all souls, sons of God. For daughters are also sons, S-O-L-S. That's why you say that women can go to the kingdom of the sun, the celestial glory. There is only one S-O-L-E. Solely that. And that is all that is. It is everything, infinite, finite. It is in the finite. Everything that is finite, it is in it. It is infinite, and it is without end, and it just is this one eternal moment of which all times and seasons are. And when we're in the midst of times and seasons, sometimes we lose track of that eternal life. That eternal life was never born, never dies, yet has many sons, because it is all the sons it has. The Father and the Son are one. Jesus said, they called him the Son of God. Remember, we're not going to say son right now. We're going to just call it the way they do in Spanish and in other languages. S-O-L. Like Solomon has S-O-L, the son of David in Israel. S-O-L means son. Okay? He said, I am the soul of God. That's what Jesus was saying. And the Jews did not like that. He is saying, you are the soul of God in the flesh. And they also called him the Son of David. I am the soul of David. That is what son means. And yet, in the flesh, he said, I am the soul of David. And he said, but before David, I am. Well, of course, he is the soul of David, for he is David's soul, David's son. And the Jews did not like that, for they're waiting for the Son of David. But they did not want to hear that they're not going to be exalted above all people, including the Samaritans. They cannot take it at that time. They're like the Pharisees that want to be like the pharaohs, that want to be the heirs instead. And he called them blind guides leading the blind, for they teach us that we are separate. Okay, now here's the exercise I want to do. Here's an example of your eye being single now. Now, even the sign is you have division, 2 eyes. Yet, even when you see with 2 eyes, you have one vision. You see one thing. And you nearly close your eyes, you kind of forget it. But division, remember, do you want to die? That's what happens with the tree of good or not good and knowledge of good and evil, for it is 2 things in one fruit. So you must die. Division. Okay? I want you to think about my fingers, and you can practice this yourself. Think about looking at your hand. You have 2 fingers here. And I'm going to back up. I'm going to put up anything. Just put my hand up. By the way, I want to give you a clue on something, but we're going to go back to this. I digress a lot. Did you know in the East, I don't want to hear about how the East doesn't know. For the East, they call their priests Brahmins. And you call him Abraham. Abram. Brahmins. Okay? So we're not going to throw away the East. And did you know, by the way, they have many gods, but they believe in one God. People don't think they do, but we're not going to get into that right now. Brahmin means a priest, just like he offered his son, Abraham. He went to Melchizedek, who was a priest and a king, a Brahmin. And Abraham's wife is Sarah. Now, if you go on the internet and you look up in the East, Brahmin, the god that they call Brahmin, his consort wife also begins with an S-A-R-A. Sarah. There's much East in the West, and much West does not want to see it. Even though the wise men from the East came, and they were the only ones to recognize the sign that the Messiah had been born. For they were waiting for it. I want to go back to the exercise. I'm going to put up my hand, and I wanted to say hand. Mano. Now, in the East, in Sanskrit, mano is mind. My hand is a mano. Man, with an O, is male. In Spanish, hand. Do you see how it gets into all of our language? This man is my hand. This is the hand of God, for there is one man, one mind, one mano. Okay, and we'll get into the left side and the right side of God in a minute, because everybody wants to know which side of God will they be on, the right, which remember, eit, E-I-G-H-T, 8, just like the Jesus. If you ever look up 8, you'll see that's a Jesus symbol too, 888. Google 888 and Jesus, and you'll see he's associated in many ways with the number 8, which is the star of Melchizedek. Okay, and also the infinity sign, that which is infinite, that is in all the finite. Okay? But mano, my mind. You see, you think my brain is up here. This is where I reign. This is my brain. This is my drain. I can drain it later, maybe after this life. But this is my brain. Now, this is my hand. Could you see my hand without what is not my hand? Do you see one picture here? How many fingers? You say 1, but look all around it. Even though you say I have 1 finger, do you still see 1 image? Yup, you do. For God is what people do not want to accept, which is why Jesus said, forgive everyone and love your enemies. For whatsoever you do to the least of these, you've done to me. Even the prisoners that are in prison that you call the criminals, did you visit them? Whatsoever you did to the least of them, you've done to me. He accepts the whole with a W in everyone as his one S-O-L, soul. And he told us that is our soul. And there's only one soul heir. And we are joint heirs with Christ because he is the soul of God. And that's why, again, in your pre-existence story in your book of Abraham, in the War of Heaven, Jesus was the one that said, glory be to the Father. For the Father is the sole air that we breathe. And we are all heirs. We do not divide up the glory into thirds and treat it like money to be earned, like Satan wanted, so that he could exalt himself in the upper third and make that the celestial kingdom instead. Honestly, folks, know the soul, for all is S-O-L, soul. You say S-O-U-L, now what are you walking on with the soles of your feet? The dust? And we'll get into that later. But you see that everything that God